Hi everyone, welcome to Doc Hill's study where I help you get ready for your National 5 biology assessments. In this video we'll be walking through questions from an official SQA paper. The paper and the marking guide are both produced by the Scottish Qualifications Authority, the SQA, and all rights to that material belong to them. I'm using these resources strictly for educational purposes here on this non-commercial channel to support students like you in preparing for your exams. I'll be using the SQA's marking guide to highlight what answers are accepted, but keep in mind it usually only shows some of the correct answers and doesn't explain the reasoning behind them. That's where I come in. For each question, I'll walk you through the thinking process, explain what the question is really asking, and point out some of the common pitfalls to avoid. If anything doesn't make sense to you, or you want to ask about a specific point, feel free to leave a comment. I'll do my best to help you out. If you find this helpful, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future walkthroughs. Let's get started. 2024 Paper 2 Question 3. Question 3. Let's see what it says. The diagram represents the processes that generate ATP in muscle cells. Good. Glucose, that's your source of energy, comes in and it makes substance J is produced and a little bit of ATP is produced. Okay, we know that. We've learned this. This should be one of your revision diagrams anyway, that you practice over and over again before the exam, right? Everybody does that, yeah. Aerobic respiration can occur and that produces product K, carbon dioxide, and ATP. Good, more ATP, right? If that doesn't happen, this happens. So there has to be a reason for this, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Obviously, we know because we've learned it, right? The reason is no oxygen available for aerobic respiration, so the fermentation will happen because you've got to get rid of pyruvate so that anaerobic respiration can continue. That's called fermentation. And in an animal cell, which is a muscle cell up here, lactate is produced as a product. Okay, so we've understood the little diagram. Let's move on. A1. Name substance J and product K. Well, that was pretty obvious from this diagram that we were going to have to name these things. Let's get it right. Okay, so glucose is converted into pyruvate plus ATP. So our first substance is pyruvate. You just have to learn it. And the best way to learn it is have a little revision diagram of this process that I might try and do that in another video so that you can see. So, but the best thing to do is these diagrams. A revision diagram will take you 2 minutes to draw out, maybe less, maybe 1 minute, and do it a couple of times a day for a few days, and then do it once a week until the exam. Okay, then you'll never forget it. All right, that's the way to learn. I'll do a video on that. Okay, product K. Let's have a look. So we've got glucose turning into pyruvate. We've worked that out. That's plus a little bit of the pyruvate is sent to the mitochondrion where oxygen is added. And we get product K and carbon dioxide plus ATP. Well, the pyruvate is completely broken down to water and carbon dioxide plus ATP. So that is water. You could write H2O, you could write water, whatever you prefer. Okay. Good. State the number of ATP molecules that would be produced from each molecule of glucose during fermentation. All right. Now, in National 5 biology, they consider fermentation to be this entire step here. So this is, when we go into higher, we'll learn this is glycolysis. And then we have the detoxification, essentially, of pyruvate to form lactic acid, or lactate. But that whole process is called anaerobic respiration or fermentation. And for every step, every single glucose molecule, we can only produce the ATP here, which is 2 ATP. So the answer is 2. Okay, so tricky one. 2 there, 36 here. 2, 36. Okay, that's why oxygen is so important. You really increase the amount of ATP you produce per glucose molecule. Okay. Right, they're testing our deep knowledge here, aren't they? Name the cell structure. You just have to learn these. You just have to learn that that's 2 ATP. You just have to learn that's 36 ATP. There's no way of getting around it. You just have to sit down and do it over and over again until you know it. That's what revision diagrams are for. That's what flowcharts are for. That's what that is what flashcards might be for. You might do it with flashcards. You just have to remember, okay? So you could make yourself a flashcard. That'll be on my website. There's a link in the description below. You could do a flashcard that says ATP produced from fermentation, 2. ATP produced from fermentation, 2. ATP produced from fermentation, 2. ATP produced from aerobic respiration, that is 36 plus 2, 38, okay? Okay, good. All right. Name the cell structure where aerobic respiration is completed. Aerobic respiration is this one. This all goes into the mitochondrion. Okay, you have to name a cell structure. Make sure you're not talking about a process. Cell structure. Okay, state, name, state, name. So you're just basically, so far we're just saying things, okay? Right, now we have to maybe suggest why a muscle cell might carry out fermentation rather than aerobic respiration. Okay, we have to give an explanation. That's what suggest why means. Give an explanation. Give a reason why a muscle cell might carry out fermentation rather than aerobic respiration. Okay, you need to be careful here because there's ways of answering this question that are going to be marked wrong. First of all, what you can't say is it needs oxygen. Because if you say something needs oxygen, you haven't answered the question. The reason a muscle cell might carry out fermentation rather than aerobic respiration is that it has no oxygen. No oxygen available is the simplest one. No oxygen available. Okay? If you said it needs oxygen to carry out this process, what you're doing is describing the process, not giving an explanation. All right? And that's really important. They're very tough on this in biology, particularly. So your literacy and understanding, that means explain. All right? Sometimes they don't write explain, they write it a different way, but you need to be able to spot it. No oxygen available will get you the mark. That's the end of question 3. Thanks for watching this walkthrough from Doc Hill Study. I hope it helped you feel more confident about tackling these kinds of questions. Remember, the answers I've used are based on the SQA marking guide, but it's always important to understand the reasoning behind them, not just memorize the words. That's why I focus on the process, not just the final answer. If you've got any questions, or if something didn't quite click, drop a comment below and I'll get back to you. If you found this helpful, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll be notified when the next walkthrough goes up. Good luck with your revision, and I'll see you in the next one.